Back with you on Impact, and thanks so much for staying with us. We continue to have the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Audley Shaw. We welcome as well the World Bank Special Representative to Jamaica, Mr. Badrul Haque, and Inter-America Development Bank Country Representative Gerard Johnson. Minister, before the break, you said the economy is poised for takeoff. I think you deserve some commendation for a number of things. One of those, the JDX, which I think is novel to Jamaica. And based on the account we've had, it has done, the take-up rate of 99.2% was unexpected. The real return to Jamaica would be what? What savings are we expecting from that?
The savings on the budget in each fiscal year netted out would be in excess of $30 billion. But you know, Emily, the savings, which is quite substantial in terms of interest costs, the savings, which is, although it's quite substantial, the larger issue, and it's really, I'm not the one to take the credit. The people to take the credit are all those who participated. Large institutions, small holders of government bonds, the securities dealers, the level of cooperation at that leadership level in the financial sector was extraordinary.
Yes.
They are the ones that must take the bow.
Yes.
Because what we're achieving here is a framework within which we are reducing interest rates. The Bank of Jamaica, as you know, has brought the 30-day rate down to a 24-year low. Now, for the whole thing to be successful, however, we need to continue to buy into the need to go even further, and we need to get into single-digit interest rates.
Right.
Now, to do that, there are things that we must do which are fundamental to that letter of intent that we've signed with the IMF. It has to do with the whole question of tightening up on the budgetary process. This year, the budget is almost $100 billion less than last year. Admittedly, in part because of the debt exchange where we have extended maturities and the interest costs. But what we have to also do is to make sure that we don't shift the focus to keep a sort of level of profligacy in spending, excessive spending, where we know that we would have to simply go and borrow more in order to finance it.
Right.
What we are seeking to do, therefore, is to seek now to use existing mechanisms, such as the whole question of tax policy. We have to revise it, yes, but we also have to widen the tax net in Jamaica.
We've been saying that for a long time.
We have to widen it. We have to get a greater respect for compliance, tax compliance.
Yes.
And we are going to be taking very, very strong measures to do that, because we really want to develop in Jamaica a civilized society is run on the basis that those who produce and earn, they make their incremental contribution to the running of a country, of a civilized society.
What is the difficulty?
You can educate your children, you can have national security, you can have a minimum level of health care, and you can have a decent social safety net.
Yes. What is the difficulty with the reformation of the tax system that you've encountered? Why, you've said it so many times over. You've had some successes last year or year before with the collection, but your projection and your what you take in last year, they fell way below. What happened there? Why?
Well, while there is no question that over time we need to recalibrate the optimum mix of the tax types and how they are deployed, what I'm concentrating on right now is administrative reform. We are bringing in expertise from various quarters, the United Kingdom, the Internal Revenue Service, and the U.S. Treasury Department are assisting us as well.
Yes.
Where we are seeking to put in place those methods that we're starting with asking for voluntary compliance, but we are putting in place a system where if you don't come to us, we are going to come to you.
I've seen that, and that is commendable. Yeah. I saw it in the budget presentation. The people you're bringing in from the U.S. Treasury, do they understand the unique political power and reason why people sometimes don't pay taxes, so that if the taxman goes to X can call Mr. Big to say, hold off, and somebody can talk to somebody around the corner? Do they understand that idiosyncratic thing about Jamaica, why some things are not done?
Which is part of the inherent corruption of our processes,
Yes.
which itself is such a challenge. I mean, even as I speak to you, under my nose, so to speak, in my own departments, we have now found a situation where waiver letters were being illegally issued for many years, including under the previous administration. I've gone back as far as 2004 in the investigation that's on the way. And already I can tell you that 12 files representing 12 months spread out between 2004 and last year are missing from customs. We can't even find the files in order to be able to adequately detect the full extent of. Now, that kind of fraud, we are talking about not hundreds of millions of dollars of defrauding the state. You know, we're talking about multi-billions of dollars of fraud.
But I don't know how we're going to get around that, but until such time.
Well, no, but we can't. We cannot. It's going to require, Emily, the political will to do the things that are right for the country, whether they are politically popular or not. That is the challenge that we face. And the question is, and we kind of have to put it to the people of Jamaica, what kind of government do you want?
What kind of government are you willing to give the people?
You want a government that's going to, first of all, call a spade a spade. Say to the people, let's have a consensus on clean governance, cleaning up the process, providing in fact, the commitments that we have made with our multilateral partners, long before the letter of intent, by the way, where we had a 23-page performance matrix with the World Bank, the IDB, the Caribbean Development Bank, and the European Union, in which we have committed ourselves to transparency in governance, putting together a fiscal responsibility framework, talking about the scrutiny, allowing Parliament now to scrutinize public sector entities and to approve
all
their
before,
budgets.
though, Minister, haven't we?
No,
We've heard it all before.
These are new things that are being introduced into the process.
But let me come to the World Bank
requiring
representative
increased transparency and accountability.
I want to hear from Mr. Haque. How do you help the people of Jamaica or any country in which you give support? How do you help them to hold governments to their targets that they set? And what do you do if government don't meet those targets?
Well, first of all, one has to understand we are a cooperative of 185 countries.
Yes.
Jamaica is the owner of us. We don't tell countries what to do.
Jamaica is the owner.
Is one of the owners.
Yes.
The minister is the governor.
Yes.
So in a sense, technically, he's my boss.
Yes.
What we do is, and that's exactly what we have done, when we upgraded our relationship with Jamaica after the minister's visit in October 2007, we listened very carefully what he had to say, what the priorities were for the government, where they wanted, and the minister was very clear to us that they wanted us to support that is, the Jamaica reform program. That it's not going to be a program that we design for them,
yes,
but rather support a program they design. But they identified the right areas, addressing the debt issue, crime, education, while continuing to support the poor and the vulnerable. And for us, when I remember very clearly that discussion with our Vice President, where after we listened to him, our Vice President said to the Minister, Minister, with this level of debt that you have, it's no wonder that your economy hasn't been growing. And as you know, over the last 40 years, the growth rate has been anemic, and if you adjust for the population growth rate, it's almost flat. So, Minister, you really have to think outside the box. There is no easy solution. We can't tell you what to do. But whatever you decide to do, you have to think outside the box.
So you will continue.
So what we have done, we've helped, from that day on, we have supported them with the analysis of the debt, with the analysis of many other things. But they have been telling us, this is what we want to do. And so we and other development partners have come together to support a reform program that the Jamaicans themselves, and I say Jamaicans rather than just the government, because a lot of people, other people are involved.
Yes.
Even if you take the JDX, which is very successful,
Yes.
and even personally I had doubt whether they could achieve 90%.
Yes.
And I have been pleasantly surprised. That's because the people, the average public, as well as the institutions, also realize that this is something that has to be addressed if you are going to achieve a fiscal and debt sustainability over the medium to long term, and then restore an environment for higher growth, which Jamaica has all the potential.
One of the beauties for me, Mr. Johnson, about the IMF, it gives you programs. It gives you quantitative targets that you have to reach. And I think this is what frightens any administration. If you fail the test, you don't get down the next drawdown. Does the IDB have anything like that at all to hold the governments in the absence or even before this letter of intent? Was there anything that you could help the people of Jamaica to hold governments accountable with?
Sure, I can give you two concrete examples. One, the fiscal responsibility legislation that has just been enacted and that is landmark. It's not been spoken about before. It's new and it's huge. It changes, it's a game changer. The government initiated the idea in 2005, asked us to start working on the technical work to underpin it, start drafting, start the wide consultations. It didn't happen between February and March.
Yes.
It started a long time ago. It took a long time getting here. And the way that we work is that we put together a program that once the reform has taken place, in this case, the enactment of the fiscal responsibility legislation, we disburse. In other words, it's backward looking.
Right.
The other one is different. For example, irrigation. In 2004, we joined with the government in signing a loan that was to support a program to help small farmers quadruple their income. Very quickly, how? The government would pay for the irrigation scheme, and the farmers would hook up, and with the help of the Ministry of Agriculture, with extension through Gerard and so on, would find new markets, new products, and quadruple their income. And of course, there, for it to work, the farmers have to pay the cost of the water.
Yes.
That's a very difficult reform going forward, but there we disburse totally differently. As the project advances, there are 5 schemes. As costs have to be covered, we disburse. So they're two very different ways of working, but both very concrete. One is policy, the other one is you could actually go and touch it.
Yes, and you work with governments as we are seeing now. You work with different administration irrespective of who is there, the IDB support, so to the World Bank continues, and that I want to drive home to the viewers. Stay with us when we come back. More on impact. The opposition spokesman on finance, Dr. Davies, is calling for an explanation as to why the debt has reached the level that it has reached. Now, when we come back, we'll put that to the Finance Minister, Audley Shaw.